together. It's the happiest time, and for some people, it's the saddest time.
Are you trying to get therapy?
We need therapy. Susan Davidson is here, clinical therapist with Pine Grove Behavioral Health Intensive Outpatient Program, as always. And these people do an incredible job of saving or changing lives. And it's always a pleasure. I'm sorry?
Can she save us?
Well, we come back to the yeoman thing. That would be a yeoman task one way or the other. First of all, Susan, good morning to you. How are you? And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Good morning. Merry Christmas to you.
Can you hear? Good morning. Can you hear me? Everything is okay, and you're checked out? Everything
I can
fine?
hear you.
Very
Yes,
good.
Everything's great.
Now, you are in the midst of this every day, and how does Christmas differ a little bit as far as your lifelong occupation there? How do you handle this, and why is it different in some ways? Because it's Christmas. Susan?
Well, Christmas has always been a time where families get together. It's big celebration time.
Mm-hmm.
Schools are out. People buy presents. They eat meals. And so that in itself can bring stress. Good stress, there's good stress, and then there's bad stress, okay? So stress can be motivating for us. It's great if you have your family intact and, everybody gets along and, you've got a plan, you've got the financial resources to carry it out. Everything's great. But sometimes what happens at Christmas is, we don't get along. There's conflict. A lot of times substance abuse can be a problem during this time of year because of that's the way some people deal with stress. So depression is pretty prevalent during this time. It is, we're winding down to where the shortest day of the year on the 22nd. So people with seasonal affective disorder, that kind of ramps up. When people get stressed, anxiety is increased. And so if you have a mental health issue, or even if you just have, regular stress from work, home, responsibilities, a lot of times people are caring for their elderly parents. There's just so much on our plates these days, and it can really cause problems for us.
All right, so we've defined the problems now. How do we handle some of this as far as some of the solutions are concerned?
That's a great question, because that is going to make a difference in the quality of your holidays. So one of the things that I recommend is setting boundaries with yourself, setting boundaries around your time. Don't overschedule yourself. That's something that we tend to do. We have a party every night. People don't seem to be able to say, no, that's not good for me. I can come here, but I can't come here. So being able to say no when you need to say no. So setting boundaries around your time. Everybody knows that Highway 98 West is a nightmare this time of year. Make lists, order online, schedule your trips. If you can go early in the morning or, something like that, it's really going to decrease your stress level. I don't care how much coping skills you have. If you go down Highway 98 West, between probably 10 and 8 p.m., 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., it's going to increase your stress.
I think what I'm hearing from you, Susan, is that if you manage and schedule, if you manage your stress and understand it's going to be there, you can compartmentalize some of it and kind of avoid that. For instance, you know if you're going to be back in a group of people for the Christmas dinner, almost like Thanksgiving. And sometimes there's this one or two things that were said that's just going to ignite stuff. Sometimes you're going to have Uncle Ralph who's going to be there, or your father is not going to be happy with the occupation that you've decided to get in, whatever it happens to be. Is it therapeutic for you to talk to yourself and prepare yourself for that? And how do you do that? How do you talk to yourself to the point where it says, when this happens, and I know it's going to happen, here is how I'm going to react? Is that beneficial?
It's very beneficial. I think, planning for those discussions, understanding that I cannot control the outcome. I can control what I say, what I think, but I have no control over what Uncle Ralph or Uncle Harry thinks or says. The bottom line is it takes two to have a discussion or an argument. And so if I don't engage, if I don't take that bait, that it's going to decrease the possibility of an explosion.
Yeah. It is also true, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Susan. Go ahead.
I was just going to say sometimes I've taken the stance that, I'm not going to go there. And so I keep it really brief because, like you said, what's going to happen. It's happened before over and over again.
I mentioned this earlier, and I think we talked about this once before, the over-expectation for the perfect Christmas. If we just go into it and look at every Christmas is different, and we start off with the core understanding of what the season is about, and it's not about the presents, it's not about everything else. It's the birthday of Jesus Christ. If we do that, and we start off with that starting point and understand we don't over-expect anything else, is that helpful to the individuals? Will that help relieve the stress a little bit? Susan Davidson's with us.
Yes, in fact, that's one of the things I was going to talk about when we talk about coping skills. Think about the reason for the season. We tend to get tied up in, what our societal norms are. And like I said, if you get back to the basics of why are we celebrating Christmas, and make that the focus, it can make a difference. And
someone told me one time a perfect example of this is that if they looked out the window and it's not snowing, then Christmas is ruined. And if it is snowing, then they always want something else. They have to have this Currier and Ives presentation on the Christmas card, and those damn Clydesdales better be coming down the street, because even if it's snowing, if the Clydesdale, so it's something behind the Clydesdale. And when people do this, they're setting themselves up for the more and more stress, and it's not needed. Would you agree?
Correct. Absolutely. In fact, expectations is probably a number one offender in creating stress. And, I think having an attitude of gratitude where, most of us, I shouldn't say most of us, I was here during Hurricane Katrina. I am to this day thankful for running water, because we were without for about 3 weeks.
Yes. Okay? And air conditioning.
Air conditioning. Yes. I mean,
yes.
Get back to the basics, of what we're thankful for. I mean, I'm thankful for a roof over my head.
That's very, very true. Susan Davidson of the Pine Grove Behavioral Health Center. Look, you guys do such a great job. And have done that for so long. I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I thank you for helping us out a little bit this morning. Susan Davidson. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Susan Davidson of